So here we go then, another Unpenned Show, but this time not with my pal Andy. I have sat with me today a lady I've known for over 30 years, and that lady's name is Jo.
Good evening, everybody.
Or whenever you're listening. This is Sunday afternoon, we're doing this now. Now, why are we recording this? Well, it is our Unpenned Show, and although Jo's not quite followed the rules, you've got pages of notes there.
I have, yes.
But we're recording this for you, aren't we? We're actually doing this as the next step for you.
Yeah.
You've sat watching and listening to Andy and I doing this for well over a year now, a year and a half. And really, you felt at some point in the future, which is today, that you wanted to have a go at this. Because really, it's okay putting all this information in, but it doesn't mean much until you can deliver it back out again.
That's right, yeah.
So, I don't know what's in your notes, because I asked you not to tell me. You've made plenty of them, so you've had almost 5 days to get ready for this recording. Start it how you want to.
Right. The reason that I want to do this is to remind myself of my journey so far. I wish that I'd kept a journal, but unfortunately I haven't. I've been trying to remember back, and it's harder and harder to remember what I actually went through, the feelings, the emotion, but I've given it a good go.
Maybe a little bit of background here is that Jo and I used to work together in around about 1982, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
1982. We actually met each other in Harrogate. I was living... where was I living then? I was living in a little place called Lehman Village, actually. Mm-hmm. And you were living in Boroughbridge.
That's right, yeah.
And we met together working at the MOD. And we worked in the same little box, as it were.
That's right.
I started there in February. You started there sometime
August
time.
Yeah.
And I was gone by the following February.
That's right.
So we barely knew each other a year. Mm-hmm. And that was 1982. And apart from a few brief encounters throughout life, it would be fair to say that you and I didn't meet each other again to actually have a full-blown conversation of any type until November 2012.
That's right, yeah.
And you just happened to walk in my fish and chip shop.
I did.
Still living in Boroughbridge.
Yeah.
Which is 6 miles away from where we're sat now.
That's right.
So yeah, almost 32 years to the day, or 30 years to the day as it were, in 2012. And you just walked in.
That's right.
You just walked in.
7th of November, 2012.
You remember what it was?
I do.
So yeah, so really almost 30 years had gone by between us having any sort of conversation at all. We've both been married and divorced during that time.
That's right.
And I remember saying to you, it's only Christmas. I've got two important ladies or girls that I need to buy for. I could do with somebody to take me shopping to York and give me some ideas. Do you remember?
Yeah, I do.
And that's how it all started.
It did.
That Sunday in York.
We did. We met up and went to York on the Sunday. I was excited about seeing Paul again because we had formed a good friendship when we worked together. But I was just absolutely astounded and mesmerised at how Paul was. I saw this radiance about him, and I wanted to know more why he was like this.
You make it sound strange, but it's because I was different, wasn't I?
You were different, yeah.
I was different, yeah. Just speaking different.
Yeah.
I know, and that's what did it, wasn't it? You were curious.
It was, yeah.
You were curious.
I'd never met anybody like you.
I know, it was... most people get turned off. Most people say, oh, I just brainwash it. Remember that lunch?
Yeah.
Remember that lunch? You
said
to...
I do.
Hey, I to get this John a cult or something. Remember that?
Yeah, I did.
You went through all the reactions, didn't you?
Yeah. It was just so different. But I was inquisitive. As I say, I'd never seen anything like it before. And at that stage, my life was okay, bit mundane, and this was something new. So we got chatting, and the way Paul spoke, the words that he used, I was just wanting more and more from it. So we sat and chatted. We had a really good day, and then we met again. And that evening, Paul spoke. I just sat and listened. I didn't hear at that stage. I just listened. I couldn't converse with him because I knew nothing about the subject. I felt ashamed, embarrassed at my ignorance. But I wanted to learn. I wanted to know something what Paul knew.
And all I was doing was playing with the words, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
All I was doing was sort of showing you that these words can mean different things. These words can be connected differently to what you're using them. You know, most people say, why is this, whatever it is you name, why is it called this? Sometimes it's after the person who invented it, and sometimes it's because that's the obvious name, like an orange is an orange, sort of thing. You know, was an orange named orange before orange was invented? Well, the answer is probably not. Orange came from the orange itself.
Yeah.
So it wasn't orange that named orange, it was the orange that brought the colour orange to Europe, as it were. So things do name themselves, others are named after who discover it, but a lot of it is observation, preservation and connection. That's what you were curious about, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah. I was curious.
There was no conspiracy theorising here. There was no ideologies. It was just the word game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was just playing with the words, and you were curious, and you thought, like, I've never heard anyone say this before, but I can't argue back because it sort of makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we got on further meetings. We got into deeper conversation about the way things are or appear to be, which totally confused me and astounded me. It was everything that I thought that I knew things about and I knew nothing about. I doubted myself. It was against everything I'd been told by people that I trusted and loved. But I was open-minded and prepared to listen and at least to consider what had been said.
Open-minded. It's so easy to say and so hard to do, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Because you look around and people say, I'm very open-minded, I'm quite liberal about things, and it's okay, well, I'd like to talk to you about, and whatever the subject may be, you know, why do politicians tell lies? And people say, well, it's just what they made. They don't really know, they just do, that's just what they do, they're just a bunch of thieves. And you say, but why do you think politicians tell lies? Well, I don't really see what you're asking. You say, well, they have to tell lies. Well, what do you mean they have to tell lies? They're saying the same reason that you have to tell lies. And they go, what? And you say, well, let me pose you a challenge. I'm gonna ask you to make me a promise, and I want you to actually try and follow through on this promise and let me know how it goes. Pick a day this week, and you say, okay, I'll pick Sunday because it's Sunday. And what I want you to do is I want you to tell the truth all day, no matter what the truth may be, no matter what consequence may come of it. I want you to speak the truth as you see it, regardless. Do not divert from it. Say what you think the truth is and answer everything that you're asked truthfully. Right, I'm going to do it. That's a car crash of a life, isn't it?
It is.
That's an absolute car crash of a life. So now you know why politicians can't tell you the truth. Because you don't use the truth either.
Yeah.
Remember that conversation?
I do.
I mean, from November through to certainly February time, didn't we? We met up, I don't know, I would say, mostly on a Saturday evening, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Saturday evenings were good for me, and, well, it just worked out. That's what we did, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I would say, over those 3 or 4 months, we met up, I can't be sure, I mean, would you say 6, 7 times?
Yeah. Yeah.
And during those meetings, I pretty much just chatted about, you know, what I understood so far.
You did, for hours and hours upon end.
Mm. How many hours do you think we actually spoke for over those meetings? What would you say?
Oh.
40, 50?
Yeah.
Easily, yeah.
Yeah. Because, I mean, we were up till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning just talking, weren't we? A lot of time.
Seems a long time ago, doesn't it now?
It does. It does.
This was the this is the advantage that I think you've had over perhaps some people. Firstly, most people do this on their own.
Yeah.
And most people rely on YouTube and recognise names on YouTube to help them through this part of the journey. And you didn't choose to go that way, did you?
No.
Now, I gave you a hard drive with hundreds of gig of what I felt was information I'd picked up along the way.
Yeah.
And I picked a lot of it. All the names that we recognise today, they're all on there, all folded up, and I gave you, didn't I?
You did.
Did you listen to it?
I listened.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't at first, did you?
No.
You didn't at first, did you?
No.
No.
I didn't do my homework.
Well, what happened was, you were I mean, I don't know if I can say this without... I'm not trying to offend you, but I'm hoping you'll say yeah, because the idea that we're doing this is that maybe we'll put this on YouTube, and maybe somebody will get something from it.
Yeah.
But we're going back over nearly 2 years now, aren't we?
Yes.
And you were completely clueless as to what was coming. Completely clueless, and you started talking to me, and you were curious, and you weren't. There was no difficulty in your life as such.
No.
So you were stable.
Uh-huh.
Now, a lot of people meet this when a crisis happens. Okay, and when a crisis happens, or a relationship breakup, which would be a crisis, or something like that, when life deals you a bad hand, as it were, what a lot of people do is they actually look for somebody to tell their fortune, don't they?
They do.
And most people can go straight to a fortune teller, or a psychic, or a tarot card dealer, or whatever, and that's what they go for. And whoever you go to, you accept they're going to charge you for the service.
Mm-hmm.
And church does the same thing, of course. You accept that they're going to charge you for the service, and you would be very disappointed if they didn't give you the service that you paid for, which is a brighter outlook.
That's right.
So, why did you keep coming back those Saturday evenings? You see, you didn't need it.
No.
So the question is, why did you keep coming back?
But in a way, I did need it, because I realised at that stage I was existing. I wasn't living, I was existing. And I needed to get to the stage where I could say, I'm doing okay, I'm living now. I want it to feel that.
Wow, but now you're using a language that you didn't have then, though, did you? You didn't have that language then.
No,
You
probably not.
wanted what I had, didn't you?
I did.
Now this is perhaps the conversation that I'm glad we're having today, is that you wanted what I had.
Yeah.
And what I had was confidence, a strength, the ability to respond and converse, to challenge, to ask questions, and not to worry about what people thought about me.
That's right.
And that is something that many people will tell you they have, but they don't have it at all.
No.
They don't have it at all, because most people are beholden to somebody, whether it be the wives, the husbands, the children's, their uncles, the bosses, whatever hierarchy they're in. They're beholden. They're held by some control mechanism, some control structure. And if they should act differently, then that control structure might eject them from the very family unit or the working unit that they're actually involved in.
Oh, definitely.
Well, I don't have that pressure.
Yeah.
You see, so I can say what I want and do what I want,
Yeah.
regardless of consequence, and be happy to deal with the consequence.
Yeah.
And I'm not building myself up here. I'm trying to describe what it was that you wanted,
Yeah.
or at least what I had. And is that what you were looking for?
Yeah, it was.
And the reason you were looking for it is because you could handle that.
Yeah.
Because you don't have any hierarchy around you that could affect your outcome or stop your progress, if you see what I mean.
No.
Because you're self-employed. You decide who you work for, and you contract and you negotiate with them for your services.
That's right.
You're not
yeah.
employed by them.
No.
They contract you to come and do. And because you're independent, you can work for whoever. And because the special skills you have, you'll never not be in demand.
Right.
You see, so this is a freedom.
Yeah.
That now you understand how you were able to say, I'm going to keep going.
Yeah.
And God bless you, you did. And out of all the people that I can think of I've met in life, I didn't think this would be for you.
No.
I didn't think it would be. You were such a lovely, innocent flower. You know, such a giggly, bubbly... Who would think that you would be interested in this? Because this is the darker side of life. This is the unpleasant bit. This is where reality actually changes the picture that you thought you were seeing.
Yeah, totally.
But still you kept coming back.
I did.
But eventually I said to you, have you been watching that stuff on that hard drive? And you said, no. And what did I say? I said, don't come back until you have.
That's right.
And you said, what, all of it? I said, I've watched all of it.
Yeah. So I made time, because that was a big thing with me. I didn't have time. I didn't realise how precious it was. But I managed to reorganise myself, or get some organisation, and I made time for me, solitude, where I could sit, concentrate, and I listened to the hard drive. I have to confess now, I don't know if Paul knows this, but I didn't actually get to the very end. But I did get a long way through.
I didn't expect you to, but I wanted you to look at it. not because I felt it was going to be adding to in the way. No, I won't put the. I think I know what you're going to say.
Yeah.
I want you to look at it, and after we'd spoken, I want you to look as much as you could, and I want you to conclude whatever you felt was appropriate, what you enjoyed, what you didn't enjoy, and what did you think about all the information that was on there?
At first, the information that I heard, I tried to absorb, and I just took on everything. I believed everything. I took on the voice of the commentator or whatever, narrator, and it just changed my thoughts. Each different person I listened to, I jumped from one to the other, taking on their beliefs and everything. I had to keep going back and listening to the same speech time and time again because I knew it wasn't sticking in my head. I couldn't speak it. But yet, I did it, I tried, and then eventually I realised I'm not grasping this because it's not for me. This isn't mine. So I got to the stage where I resented listening to these people, no disrespect to them, but it just wasn't for me, and I felt that they were preaching at me, and that was the last thing that encourages me, is somebody preaching to me. I got more from books than I actually did from listening to other speakers. Actually seeing the words there, I managed to absorb those, and I got to the stage where I formed my own opinions. I could feel what was right for me and what wasn't right for me, and the information that was irrelevant I would just skip over. I read it, but I skipped over it. But the information that did feel for me, I did manage to start retaining.
It's easy to think that you have to learn all this. It's easy and wrong to think that you have to remember all this when it's impossible to do in one lifetime.
Yeah.
Now, I can't remember history and dates. I can remember some fundamental ones and some important ones, but I can't remember the names. I can't remember 1,000 years of royalty. I can't remember who came next and who did what. But I'm aware of history.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I think for me, and this is just for me, that's all I need to be aware of. That history and royalty and money and power and wars form history itself.
Yeah.
So those events, those control mechanisms are still in play today. So rather than look backwards, I always look now and what might happen tomorrow. And books does make you picture it, because the words are burned into your head. Because when you read that word, it's going through your eyes to do it. Now, when you're listening to a narrator, you don't see the word. You hear the word,
yeah,
but you don't see the word. And of course, see what you want to see, hear what you want to hear. That applies very much throughout everybody's lives. It's how we disseminate information or filter it.
Mm-hmm.
It's how we cherry pick and how we paint our pictures. We only paint pictures of things that we like.
Yeah.
In other words, if there's something in the news that we don't like, we don't use that as part of our picture. But we're learning to take everything we're given and find some place for it. Because this thing in our head does have the ability, way above what we suspected we could do with it.
Yeah.
All our lives we've said, I don't feel like I'm using my entire brain. And yet when you discover that you probably weren't, and it's a lot cleverer than you thought it was, and once you learn to connect it together, it can remember more for you. We're a bit older than we thought we were going to be when we learned this. We'd like to be about 20 years younger, really.
Yeah.
We'd like to have a younger, faster brain, if you don't mind, so we don't have to feel such a pressure to fill it so fast. And that's what happens with this, isn't it?
Yeah.
The pressure of the race exists now, and somehow you think that you have to learn as much as everybody else knows as quick as possible.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't work out at all, does it?
And that's what you want, because you're so enthusiastic, so eager to learn.
How many sleepless nights? Weeks? Months?
Months.
Mm-hmm.
Months of sleepless nights.
And even when you try and sleep, 2 or 3 hours later, bing.
You're awake again.
But what's your instinct is for more, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think? I mean, because you could almost, it could be described by those with the white coats on as an illness. You must have something wrong with you, because you seem to be addicted to looking at the bad news. You know, we're called internet users.
Yeah.
Well, that goes with drug users.
Mm-hmm.
People who take drugs are users.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you think? I mean, you know, how would you put into words if I asked the question, was it an illness? Or was it a recovering from an illness?
I see it as a recovering from an illness, because as I grasped the knowledge, the information began to become familiar to me. It was already there, or some of it was already there.
But I couldn't make this as a case of brainwashing.
Oh,
Because people who go to church say this. You see what I mean? They do. You see, this is what church does. This is what all cults do.
yeah,
They give you plenty of the truth, but then manipulate it, so you pay them. Well, isn't that what most people in the hard drive were doing?
yes,
But
exactly.
to a lesser extent.
Yeah,
They were saying that it takes hours to do this. It's very expensive to do this, and I don't choose to work. I want to read books and get smart at this. And I wonder if you'll give me some money so I can keep doing it. And it seems fair comment at first, doesn't it?
yeah.
And
yeah.
then you think, okay, thanks very much. You've got me started. But I actually want to read books and get quite good at this as well, please.
Yeah,
So while you're doing it for me, I'm not doing it for myself.
yeah,
You see, this is why we're sat here today, isn't it?
yeah,
This is the reason that we're sat here today, that you want to listen to your words coming back out. How many people actually record themselves, then listen back to it, and then critique themselves? Well, I don't think many people do that at all.
no. And
Not
this
at all.
is the only way I know I can progress. I have tried speaking this, but very unsuccessfully. And I want to try and improve and learn, because I want to pass this on to other people, get other people interested. And it's the only way I believe I can do it, move forward.
So let's go back to the ending of the. Let's go back to the ending of the Saturday nights, where I said to you, right, that's it, because. Do you remember I got a little agitated, didn't I?
You did.
Because you weren't bringing me anything,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to learn from you.
Yeah.
I realised that I had something that I now wanted to share with somebody else, and I didn't have to find who it was. You turned up and it was you,
Yeah.
because you said it was you.
Uh-huh.
You said I want to learn this stuff and I want to do it, and I tried to tell you a number of times that this doesn't actually work out too well.
Mm-hmm.
It actually changes your life in a way that you can't change it back. And you also look at people around you, sometimes even your nearest and dearest, and you see something different as opposed to what you were hoping to see.
That's right.
In other words, the glasses do work now,
Mm-hmm.
and you do see through people in a way that perhaps you didn't before.
Yeah.
And that is something that you spoke about eventually. But going back to the Saturday nights, because you were so good at listening, you didn't say a lot back, did you?
I didn't know.
And I was getting a little frustrated because I realised you weren't doing your homework, were you?
No.
You weren't doing your homework.
I was relying on you.
So, yeah, exactly. You wanted me to give you something.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't give you something. I can only show you what it was.
Yeah.
This is where people go wrong, isn't it?
It is.
You thought I was going to give you something,
Yeah.
and I didn't give you anything. I showed you something.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted it, you had to go and get it for yourself.
Yeah.
Now, that's completely different as to what you thought was going to happen.
I thought you were going to hold my hand the whole way through it.
No.
I thought you were doing it for me.
No.
But you sent me away.
You weren't doing your homework.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't coming back and bringing me anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, that's an end to it. That's an end to it. You're gonna have to take some time, and if you don't look at the hard drive, and you don't tell me things and talk back to me, and you don't join in, then you're not trying.
No.
And I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it for you. You've got to do it for yourself. I can't do it for you.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to do it yourself.
Yeah.
You looked at the hard drive. Good information on there from some.
Yeah.
An awful lot of rubbish from another.
Yeah.
But I recorded. I downloaded everything along the way, and it was on purpose that I knew that someday I'd give this hard drive to somebody else and say, okay, this is how I got to where I am today.
Yeah.
And this is what I used to get there. This is the information that I used to get there. And I knew that you would say, or at least I suspected you would say, a lot of that isn't what I need.
No.
It took you just a short time to work out a lot of it wasn't what you needed.
Yeah.
I was on my own.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to work out there's a lot of stuff on there that I didn't need.
Yeah.
So we came to not a parting of the ways, but a challenge to find some time, because you weren't finding time.
No.
To find some time, quiet time, buy yourself a mirror, start talking to yourself,
Yeah.
and stop lying to me and lying to yourself about who and what you were doing and who and what you were going to be. Because everybody, if you say describe yourself, they'll always say, I'm kind, I'm caring, I'm considerate, I listen to other people's point of view, I'm a good shoulder to cry on, and a jolly good judge of character. Rubbish, isn't it?
It is.
It's
total rubbish.
But that's what the mirror says we are.
Yeah.
And people say, well, yeah, I am those things. Well, yeah, based on an outcome that's favourable for you.
Mm-hmm.
As long as the outcome of you being like that, as long as the outcome is favourable, then you present that side of you. But that's not the only side that exists, is it?
No.
And talking to the mirror gets that a little bit. It gets the other you talking back to you, doesn't it?
It does. And for me, that's one of the most important things you said to me, and I still do that now. It was very hard to do at first because I'd always had conflict with the mirror. But I persevered, and I sat there talking to myself. Well, talking at myself through the mirror. And eventually I sorted the good from the bad, and hopefully this is the result we've come out with.
It's not easy though, is it? Because this is self-judgment, isn't it?
Yeah.
In other words, you're done when you say you are.
Exactly.
But you're not, are you?
You're never done.
No, it's for other people to judge.
Yeah.
Okay, putting the wig on and pretending that you can judge, that's not at all how this works.
No.
You make of yourself what you want to, and other people decide what it is that you show them.
That's right.
And if you actually walk around saying the truth, it causes a bit of conflict, doesn't it?
It does.
Now,
yeah.
I spoke to you in the early days and I said, look, if you keep doing this, your family is going to question your time spent with me.
Yeah.
And they're going to, at some point, say, I think perhaps this is not going to be good for you. You're acting in a different way. You're being a little strange. You're saying strange things. And eventually they tend to say, maybe best you don't keep going to see him.
I did come up with a lot of opposition. Lots of opposition. It was hurtful. It was nasty. I'd always given ultimatums. But the thing that really got me was they thought I was being brainwashed, that I weren't speaking words of my own. I was using Paul's words.
But they were sort of right, weren't they?
First, they were.
What, you know, that's this is perhaps where we just missed that little. They were right, weren't they? Now, there were words that you agreed with.
Yes.
But you only agreed with them because you didn't know how to disagree with them.
Yeah.
In other words, at all times, you've got to ask yourself, am I doing this for what reasons?
Yeah.
Now, you did ask yourself why you were and you've answered that question now, but only after the event.
Yeah.
You didn't answer it before then.
No.
And your answer was you were doing it for what reasons?
I was doing it for me. I was doing it for myself, to improve myself.
But that wasn't the answer at first, though, was it? Tell the truth. The answer at first was to impress me, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
I mean, basically, if we do teacher-student type thing, yeah, you're just trying to impress teacher.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think I'm a teacher. Sharing the stuff is what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I can't teach it in the way that a conventional teacher would. I can just say my truth, and you can consider how much of it is good for you, and you can say, where have you got that from, and you can make your own decision.
Yeah.
Whether it be books, whether it be films, whether it be observation. Observation's the best thing, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
You know, when you see this playing out in real life, because my interest is people and why they say the things they say.
Mm-hmm. It's
not psychology as such, because I think that can be... You can argue about psychology all day, and no one gets anywhere with that.
Yeah.
Because everybody, and I mean everybody, is different. There are no two people alike, but our drives are similar.
Yeah.
The drives for sex, for power, for control and recognition. Those drives are pretty much in all people. They are in all people.
Yes, yeah.
It's their ability to achieve how much of each one that denotes which one they have the most of or least of.
Mm-hmm.
But you were doing it for the wrong reasons to start with. Then you finally got the mirror.
Yeah.
Then you finally started having true conversations with yourself.
That's right.
Now, if you thought the first 3 or 4 months of finding this stuff out was perhaps taking you into dark corners that you'd never been before, you were visiting places in your head that you didn't even know existed.
That's right.
Now you do. Now you did know they existed.
Yeah.
4 months in, when I said, well, that's me done talking to you. You're not doing your homework. You're not moving on. I didn't think... I thought we'd be further on than this. You don't come back until you've done your homework. I think I saw you maybe one more time, maybe twice, and then what happened?
I fell deeper and deeper. It was horrendous. I was losing everybody. Around me. They were getting further and further. I was sinking deeper and deeper. I was in a panic. I was just having all these horrible, nasty thoughts. I've never experienced anything like it. Like everybody, I've had lows, and I've had some pretty low lows, but this was, it was dreadful. I felt empty inside, no energy. The loneliness, although I'd lived on my own for 18 years, I had never experienced loneliness like it. I was scared, confused. The only person I thought could come and save me, he'd refused. he was the one that pushed me away. My head span with negative thoughts. It was all thinking of the evil that we were all under, and I couldn't understand how one human being could do this to another. And I just thought, what is the point of all this? Why are we going to live and suffer? And I felt like that I couldn't change it. I didn't believe I could get out of this. Was I going to stay in this horrible place forever? The panic and the paranoia, and then from somewhere, I just got the thought saying, "No one's coming. You've got to do this. You do this for yourself." I found some strength, some determination, and I was going to prove I could do this and that I would do it. And I started kicking, and slowly the chaos in my head cleared. I began to feel physically lighter, and the stronger I became, the lighter I got. And that's where I got to at the end. I came through it.
All the words you just used there actually happened physically as well.
They did.
Your physical appearance changed, and the house you lived in changed.
Yeah.
The external, you were changing the externals at the same pace that the internals were changing.
That's right.
And I didn't know, right? I didn't actually know. When I pushed you away, right, I didn't know what the result was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know that's what I'd do. Do you understand? It wasn't part of what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah.
Now, remember at the beginning I said to you, now, if you do follow this through, the conclusion will be like being hit by a train.
Yeah.
It'll hurt more than being hit by a train.
Yeah.
And the fight will be in your head. It'll be all inside.
Mm.
And nobody will be able to help you.
Yeah.
You will have to sort it out. How many times did I tell you that?
You on me numerous times.
Every time we met.
Yeah. You did. Every time.
And yet, even now I can look back, and when I pushed you away and said, no, deal with it yourself.
Yeah.
No, I'm done talking to you. And you struck out on me and you tried to hurt me.
Yeah, I did.
And I said, I'm not having it. This isn't the end of it. I'll see you on the way back.
Yeah.
And that annoyed you even more.
Yeah.
Because you thought I was being condescending.
Mm.
and I can tell you now that I didn't know that was going to happen. I didn't know this was that time for you.
Yeah.
And yet my actions were exactly what I've now read. They should have been. But I wasn't consciously doing it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I didn't mean for that to happen. I didn't plan that I would act that way.
Mm-hmm.
The sequence of events subconsciously happened because they had to happen.
I see that now.
Yeah.
That's the way it had to be. But at the time, I thought my world had come to an end.
But I can't take credit for recognising that point in your life.
Mm-hmm.
I can only say subconsciously, that's what happened.
Yeah.
I pushed you away and said, deal with it yourself.
Yeah.
And you did.
Yeah.
How hard
Yeah.
was it? How hard was it on a scale of 1 to 10?
11. It was the hardest thing I've ever had to do, and I hope ever have to do.
It was worth it though, wasn't it?
Oh, I wouldn't have it any other way now.
No one was coming to get you with her.
No.
Nobody was coming to kill you. Nobody was coming to save you.
No.
And you were drowning.
Yeah.
And for the first time in your life, in a way that I can't put into words, you had to save yourself.
Yeah, I did.
Save your sanity.
Yeah,
Because we want to live in sanity.
that's right.
That's where we want to live, isn't it?
We do.
And you did that, Decode.
I did.
Yeah. And sanity is a place of cleanliness.
Yeah. And I'm in sanity now.
It's quite a price to pay, though, isn't it?
It is.
What would you say you've had to... What's the price been? Ridicule?
Oh, yeah. Ridicule.
But that's part of the growing process, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, how tough is the exterior now?
It is tough. Not many things or many people can affect me now. And I think you have to go through that to develop these strengths, these skills. You have to be confident with yourself.
What are the downsides with her? See, the downsides can be the upsides.
Mm-hmm.
It depends which way you look at it. I mean, now you look at the world with perhaps an HD view, a higher definition of how it works.
Oh yeah, everything's brighter, colours are brighter, everything's more in focus. It's amazing. It makes me smile all the time because I'm just seeing new things all around me. And this time I am seeing. I'm not just looking. I'm seeing and hearing. I hear now, like songs, and I mean, I've always had music around me. I love music, and I could sing any song to you. But I can remember the first time I actually heard a song and felt it. I was driving to work, and it came on in the car.
This was some time after, wasn't it?
It was.
This was afterwards.
It was.
Yeah.
And I can remember I couldn't wait to get to work so I could phone Paul to say, I've heard the song. I was just so excited.
And I played them to you all the time, didn't I?
You did.
And I knew you weren't really getting them.
Yeah.
But playing them in the early days, and then playing them a few months later,
Yeah.
it's the same song,
Yeah.
but it's a different Joe.
Yeah.
And it's those markers, isn't it?
It is.
That tells you that there's more to this.
Yeah.
We can be called crazy. We can be called whatever people choose to name us. But there's something in this of value, isn't there?
Oh, definitely.
There's something in it of value. Now, whether those songwriters know or not, I suspect, of course, they do. That's why they write songs. That's why people write books. That's why people make films, because they've got something of importance they want to share.
Yeah.
Lots of people want to make the world a dark place, and it's run by psychopaths, and they all want to kill us. I'm not going to argue that there's a lot of evidence to support that theory.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also a hell of a lot of information on what to do to avoid it,
Yeah.
if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
I know access to food is becoming difficult for us now, clean, proper food. I know, I realise that. That is quite a concern. But as the money gets tight in the world, the food manufacturers, they're always going to try to supply what they think we'll buy at the cheapest possible price.
Yeah.
And whatever processes they have to put into the food that we eat, they'll do it. Because as the money runs out, we'll still think we're eating like royalty.
Yeah.
You know, the Burger King Deluxe or whatever, and McDonald's will probably do a Queen type burger. You know, see what I mean? It's all association of you know, you're still doing well. You know, like cigarettes are king size, and
yeah,
that sort of, we still think we're doing okay when we're actually not doing anywhere near as okay as we used to.
Mm-hmm.
We're in a you know, a cycle, a 300-year cycle or a 2,000-year cycle, whichever way you want to look at it, 2,100-year cycle of the rise and fall of civilizations. And eventually you calculate that the rise can only have been from a previous fall.
Yeah.
In other words, and like all learning processes, this learning process that we've been talking about, and we'll certainly keep going in a minute, you only learned this process because it hurt.
Yeah.
It really hurt.
Yeah.
The pain of having to do this, the tears that you shed,
mm-hmm.
the eyes that you look into of people you know that you know that they don't know what you know now, and you can't share it with them, and you just love to spend 10-15 minutes chatting to them and say, look, there is another way of looking at this that perhaps might be a benefit to you.
Yeah.
And they tilt their head to one side and feel sorry for you, don't they?
Yeah.
And you're trying to help them.
Yeah. They do, they pity you.
There is lots and lots of smart people around the world who will tell us that you're just being fooled. This is just a con science to make you feel guilty. This is just a con science.
Mm-hmm.
You get a conscience, you feel guilty, and all the world's problems because you didn't know. That's what happens if you're not careful.
Mm.
That is what happens. But that's why the church was put together.
Yeah.
Because you go to church and get redeemed.
Mm-hmm.
And pay for the service. And then go next week. And if you're really dumb, you also confess to the church as well.
Yeah. So
they can continue being the network of spies that you used to be. Once you grasp both sides of this coin, it's hot and cold. It's light and dark.
Yeah.
It's night and day. It's that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's whichever way you want to look at it. The view can be black or white.
That's
or
right.
somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
And it pretty much is 50 Shades of Grey.
Mm-hmm.
It's not for everybody, is it?
No.
No. So why do you think you got it?
I think it was because I was open-minded, but I was at such a stage in my life where everything was, it was just on a level. I had nothing to look forward to.
You got to the "is this it" moment.
Yeah, I had. And
You'd
I
actually got to the "is this it."
Yeah.
But you don't think it's autumn, isn't it?
It is for me now, yeah.
It's autumn, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're into autumn.
Yeah.
We've had our fun in the sunshine.
We have.
And this isn't a doom and gloom conversation. It's actually reality and how your life goes.
Yeah.
We've done the spring. We've grown.
Uh-huh.
And then we've celebrated. We've had fun in the sun.
Yeah.
But we're both approaching autumn.
Yeah.
And we've had a clear out.
Yeah.
Because we have to get stocked up for autumn. We stock up during autumn. We gather all the things in of value, and get ready for winter. Because as we get older, our chances of replacing the stock is going to be, well, our ability to replace stock is not quite so easy.
That's right.
We can't quite fill the pantry as fast as we can empty it.
Yeah.
And I do truly believe that over 40 years old, having experienced life in all its forms,
mm-hmm.
is perhaps the only way you can fully receive this I think.
Yeah.
Or under 40 or under 30 particularly, I'm not quite sure you can fully appreciate what it is that it is offering. And I think it's just the bit that was missing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's that annoying bit that's missing out of the jigsaw, and it's been missing for ages.
Yeah.
And you've tried to make all sorts of bits fit, but the bits that you keep finding don't fit properly, do they?
No.
It's not the new car. It's not the very expensive holiday. It wasn't the coat. It wasn't the handbag. It wasn't that boyfriend. It was his bloody fault. It wasn't that job. It wasn't my mother. All the bits that you thought were the problem bits.
Yeah.
It wasn't them.
No.
It wasn't them. And you tried to remake the world so every bit fitted in your picture.
Yeah.
Well, it flips completely, doesn't it?
Totally.
And now you realise that you can't make them fit in your picture.
No.
They're already in it.
Yeah.
You've just got to work out where they fit. You don't decide where they fit. You fit them where they fit.
Yeah.
In other words, your picture now is what's most important.
Yeah.
You start painting yourself. And the word paint has got the word pain in it.
Yeah.
Because when you actually have to become your own artist, your own painter, it's different, isn't it?
Totally.
They say you've got to love your family unconditionally. Well, they don't love you unconditionally.
Yeah.
Everything's on condition, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
It's all terms and conditions.
Yeah.
Family spats are family spats. They can go on for weeks, months and years.
Yeah.
It's not unconditional. It's complex, but easy.
Mm-hmm.
Because everything is directly connected to what you do and what you say.
Yeah.
And once you realise that other people can't really affect that, because you're in charge of your life,
Mm-hmm.
you're in charge of where the bus goes,
Mm-hmm.
you're driving the damn thing,
Yeah.
then you learn to, avoid the obstacles and accept the challenges. And it's not a problem, is it?
No.
And it's the most wonderful way to live,
Yeah.
because you
It
get the
is.
answers you're looking for.
Yeah.
Sometimes not out of people's mouths, but that's where the being able to see a little more comes.
Yeah.
Because you know what they're going to say,
Yeah.
and then they're going to do that wonderful English straight, say one thing, then do
Do
the
another.
complete bloody opposite. They're going to say that you're their bestest friend, and then they're going to go down to somebody that you've both been slagging off, and she's going to say she's your bestest friend, and you watch that Joe, she's a devil.
Yeah.
People always do play this game. They always do play character assassination,
Mm-hmm.
so they can build allies and tribes.
Yeah.
And even though people don't think that's what's going on in the world, it's always going on in the world.
That's right.
People are always trying to find people like them. And if you find someone who's not quite like you, you'll try and make them like you by trying to make them be like you.
Mm-hmm.
The word like is correct in its use. You say, I want you to be like me.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't say that to somebody, can you?
No.
I want you to be like me. So I've got to come across as I'm better than you. So you want to like me.
Yeah.
You see how that works?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I do.
everyone's playing one-upmanship.
Yeah.
Everyone's playing, I've got a newer car than you have. I've been on more holidays than you have. I've got money than you have. I've got a bigger house than you have. Everyone's playing, I've got more than you have, whether they have or they haven't.
Mm-hmm.
It's all a game of bluff.
It is. And
It's a game of illusion. It's a game of winging it.
Yeah.
Everyone's doing it to some extent. But these are the truths that you share with yourself in the mirror, aren't they?
Yeah. And if you've got no value, like I hadn't before, I had no self-value. You
Now
take
that sounds
all
like
this
you're demeaning yourself, but I know what you mean.
I didn't have any confidence.
Well, you
at
had
all.
value to everybody else. Unfortunately, you didn't value it.
No.
You were busy running around after helping everybody else with their needs.
Yeah.
I mean, I think your phone was probably one of the busiest phones I've ever known. Joe, will you help me here? Joe, have you got a minute, Joe? Could you do this, Joe? Could you do that, Joe? And you figured that was how that's what you were there to help with.
Yeah.
You sort of said, because I've got time, I can do this for you, I can do this for you, I can do this for you.
Yeah.
But they didn't pay you back, did they?
No.
They don't pay you back.
No.
The world is full of makers and takers.
That's right.
And unfortunately, if you want to be a taker, you're not going to get many friends. If you say, right, I'm a taker, which means that I'm going to get more from you than you're going to get from me. I'm going to write the rules, and you're going to jolly well follow them. I'm going to take everything if you don't serve me as I want you to,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to make all these things happen. Well, this is government, isn't it?
Yes.
This is government on a big scale, and the tyranny of living at home with a psychopathic type partner.
Mm-hmm.
But it also comes in a milder form with friendships.
Yeah.
In a very milder form. Everything is a bigger or smaller concentrated version of whatever exists. Well, if takers came out and spoke like that, you wouldn't have a friend to meet.
No.
So they have to become the maker to start with.
Mm-hmm.
They have to try and make you happy,
Yeah.
and then take it off you.
Yeah.
Yeah, makers and takers.
Yeah.
The world is stacked. the same whichever way you look at it.
Yeah.
These are things that are helpful to know.
Yeah.
Your friends aren't bad, they aren't evil, but you have to know how they work.
And you do see a change in your friends.
You've done well to keep a few, because I did say to you, I said it may well work out that you might not have many left.
Well,
but you've done very well, actually. You've been as a politician, and this is not unpleasant.
Mm-hmm.
A professional negotiator you must be, because I know we've had plenty of conversations now about how do you put up with them? They must drive you mad. Because you've told me about your girly groups, and your girly groups, they do chat about things that you're not particularly interested in anymore.
Yes.
And you didn't hear it before, did you?
No.
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 You don't want to say it, kids, to listen, do you? Say it anyway.
No. Conversation now when I'm out with my girlfriends is just your everyday, day-to-day rubbish.
It's actually all based on sex, isn't it?
It is.
Now, people
sex and pulling people down.
Yeah. Now, people think sex is actually the act of having sex or making love, and this is rubbish, isn't it?
It is.
We understand it's a much more easier decode now. It's sharing experiences. It's givers and receivers.
Yeah.
Same as makers and takers.
Yeah.
And that's why we always swear. We always swear we always use sexual explanations. It's always the sexual connotations in swearing.
Yeah.
Because we're always having sex with each other, whether it be verbally or orally, as it should be.
Mm-hmm.
That's why everything has got a sexual connotation when we're actually cussing.
Right.
When we're actually cussing, it's all F you and sod this and
yeah.
Bugger this, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's all based on the instinct, the very base instinct of sex.
Yeah.
Crazy but true. So we've got through nearly your first year, but not quite your first year. We've got through the fall, and it wasn't just one fall, was it?
No.
It was a stepped fall, wasn't it?
Yeah.
From meeting me to 4 months later to me saying, no, I'm not bothering. You'll have to manage on your own now. I'm not bothering with you anymore. And like I said, I didn't do that intentionally, but that's how it worked out, wasn't it? And you got over, from the day that perhaps the world caved in once and for all.
Yeah.
The mirror finally broke.
Yeah.
Into a million pieces, and you knew you couldn't put that picture back together again.
Mm-hmm.
How many days suffering? How many days in the darkness? How many days of Christ Almighty? I'm never going to get the lights back on, because you had to make the connections to get the lights back on to see where you were going.
Yeah.
You were in the darkness.
I would say I was falling 3 or 4 days before I actually realised what I had to do and felt
you can't
the strength
function, can
to
you?
do it.
You can't actually function, no.
No.
There's a war of the worlds going on in your head.
Yeah.
And you can't tell anyone.
No.
But to say what's wrong, so I just don't feel. You can't. There's no words for it, is there?
No.
There's no words. So 3 or 4 days, and then
3 or 4 days, and then I got the strength, and I started kicking, and I was coming back up.
It's the buried alive or drowning, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what we see in the films.
Yeah.
The drowning, or particularly being buried alive, and having to dig your way out.
Yeah.
Having to fight your way to the light.
It was. And it's strange that you've said fighting your way to the light, because as I was coming back up, I physically felt lighter.
Mm-hmm.
I could feel the light.
It is, yeah. It's not just. It's a feeling of weightlessness.
Yeah.
It is a feeling of being afloat.
Yeah.
It is.
It was.
Yeah, and that's where you can exist without any effort at all.
Yeah.
But that is. Do you see the connotation? That's dying, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's leaving. That's leaving where you are,
mm-hmm.
and actually elevating.
Yeah.
Now, you're using the right words, but people don't connect things in the way that they should,
mm-hmm.
because it is the elevation, but it's all going on in your head.
Yeah.
It's actually going on in your head, nothing else.
No.
It's not physically, not externally. There's no change.
No.
But internally, it's all going on, and you have removed the rock, the heaving that was keeping you down.
Mm.
You have actually removed a weight off your shoulders that you never knew existed.
Yeah.
And that's what was keeping you pressed down.
Yeah.
That was keeping you down. That was capping your ability.
Mm-hmm.
Putting a cap on your ability. But now you've put a cape on your ability.
Yeah.
And now you bloody can. You do feel a bit like you can fly, don't you?
I do.
All the words are in the songs.
Yeah.
All the words they're all there in the songs. This, for most people who are listening, maybe you don't fully understand where we're going here, but this is a shared experience. It's an oral shared experience.
Yeah.
And we hear it and see it in everything. In the songs, in the films, and be depicted by allegory in everything.
Yeah.
Are we nuts? Probably. Are we okay with that?
Yep.
Absolutely fine.
Fine.
Yeah. The word seed has got the word C in it. That's not a mistake. Groan. Do you do that now?
No.
Grown.
Yes.
Do you feel like a grown up now?
Yes.
Grown up.
I am growing up.
Spot on.
Yeah.
And that's not bad in autumn, is it?
No.
That's not bad going, is it?
No.
You don't need the sunshine. You're growing indoors.
Yeah.
You can indoors. You can grow stuff 12 months a year.
That's right.
You just have to have the right light.
Yeah.
You have to buy the right light, and you can grow stuff 12 months a year.
Yeah.
Where do you want to go next?
I think I'll explain the changes in me now that I've come through it all. I know this will constantly change, but from what I was, I've got so much more confidence. I'm happy with myself. It's the first time I've ever liked myself. It's the self-worth, the knowing that I have value and feelings. I know what my feelings are. I know my wants, my needs. They're as important as anybody else's, and I'm not afraid anymore. And the thing that's confused me is I've become intolerant, and I didn't like this, but I've thought about it, and I'm not focusing on that as being a negative thing now. I'm focusing on it as being a positive thing, because I'm not allowing people to take me as a fool anymore, like I used to be, and that's where I find I'm intolerant with other people.
Patience. That's what they are. Patience. Yeah. They're patience. Patients have to wait. So you'll have to have some patience. Okay?
Yeah.
Alright, the other thing is intent. We live in wards because we actually, on one way of looking at this, we actually are living in one great big re-education camp. The re-education camp is the internet.
Yeah.
And everything before it has been a version of a re-education camp.
Mm-hmm.
Don't look for the barbed wire fences and the poles hanging in over so you can't escape. Don't look for the military uniforms or the funny guy, the little guy with the schoolboy haircut and the little moustache. It's not coming. Nobody is coming to get you. This is a war for your mind, nothing else. It's for your mind, because you are going to be the resource. You've always been the human resource. These people are miners. They call us miners because they mine us.
Yeah.
You see, children are called miners. Yeah, we're the resource, and they're mining us. They have no intention of ever working. They're the takers. We're the makers.
Yeah.
They're the parasite class, and they've always existed, and they've always engineered the world, so they can exist. And anybody who says that's conspiracy theory has not picked up a book for years.
Mm-hmm.
This is silly. Money and power and the might and force to control it and use it to protect what they steal is how the world has always worked. We don't actually worry too much about that because it would slow down our journey.
Yeah.
And it's pointless. Like everybody else, we just want to find people like us.
Yeah.
And we don't need them to like us, but we do like having conversations with people who are like us.
Mm.
It's good fun.
Yeah.
Most people don't want to do that. Most people want to relax because the hamster wheel's going too fast, and the little bit of free time they have left, and the bigger the debt, the less free time you have. You're exhausted. You're actually exhausted. Who wants to get into, this would be called deep conversation for some people. You know that, don't you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a bit deep, isn't it? You think, well, yeah, I suppose, but you don't want to come in because you're in the paddling pool.
Mm.
You're in the shallow end with the kids.
Mm.
You haven't really learned to swim yet. But if you tried saying that, of course, they'd laugh at you, think you were trying to embarrass them, and be aggressive in return. And yet, now you'd say, why have you said that to me? I mean, that doesn't really make sense. Why have you spoken to me like that?
Yeah.
Nobody that we meet along the way is wrong in a way that we want to tell them they're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
All you can do is listen and decide for yourself. Because right now, what they have in their head makes perfect sense. And only if they're willing to ask you what could be the alternative will they ever change that.
Yeah.
Remember that first day in York? Remember that first day?
Yeah.
It was an interesting day, wasn't it? We went to watch a guy, he was juggling on a big bouncy ball, wasn't he?
He was.
And we walked up, and before we got to the front of the crowd, I said, you watch this, I'm going to make him pick me.
Yeah.
And he did, didn't he?
He did.
And it was easy to do, because I just stared at him. All I had to do was, he was looking around the crowd who to pick. I had to make sure I was full on staring at him. When he looked at me, I smiled.
Yeah.
So that's how you get yourself picked. All right, I knew I could get myself picked doing that. It was easy. I told you before we got there.
Yeah.
Watch this. He'll pick me. I'll make him pick me. Couldn't have been easier. No trick at all. That's exactly how you do it.
Yeah.
It was fun.
It was. Yeah.
And I can't remember. Did he say? What did he make me say? He had to shout something about "Will you marry me" or something, wasn't it?
I love you.
That was it.
Yeah.
It was funny anyway.
It was.
It was good fun. It made the day.
It did.
But do you remember after that, we were walking back to the car, and I said that to you. I said, "Did you realise that? Not I love you, but do you realise that what you've got in your head now is what you think is true?
Yeah.
And if I introduce something and claim it to be a fact, whether it is or it isn't,
I would believe
I
it.
can change your point of view."
Yeah.
Remember me saying that to you?
Yeah.
And you said, "Oh yeah." I said, "So what do you know?" And you went quiet, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
That was about all I said that day, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'm best about the words before then.
And that was what I was so ashamed and embarrassed about when we started meeting on Saturdays. I realised that my brain didn't work. It didn't work anymore. It had been dormant for so long. I just had to do the mundane, everyday things. I didn't have to think about anything. And I couldn't get my brain to work. And it took a long time.
It does take a long time, I know, it does. It does, but it's worth it. The journey is worth it. And now, everything's part of the journey now, isn't it? Everything you see, everything you hear. I understand to some extent that the movies that we watch and the books that we read, they're all engineered to make us think a certain way.
Yeah.
I'm not being fooled that I know any more than anybody else. I'm just going to say that, for me, I understand what I see, and I understand why I see it.
Yeah.
I will still accept to some extent that we've been engineered.
Mm-hmm.
The world's been engineered to make us see it this way.
Yeah.
And I will accept that there is another way, but only in a conversational sense. That we can't change what we have here.
No.
Evolution is moving forwards and changing as you go. Anything else is the opposite of that.
Yeah.
Dinosaurs died because they didn't change.
Yeah.
Well, so will we if we don't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think evolution is going to work out well for the human race. I think as a race, I think we're in blooming lots of trouble.
Yeah.
I think we're actually inventing and creating, and technology is going to accelerate the point where we don't need people anymore. And you'll say, well, we're already here. So, well, yes, we are. But it's our collective desires that have brought where we are today. Now, whether those desires have been ingrained in us or not, history says yes, they probably. We've always been a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
We'd like an easy life, please. We'd like to go along, to get along, and we'd not like to have to worry or think about too much.
Yeah.
And all these labour-saving devices and all these ways of doing things faster and cheaper. Well, we're okay with all those things. Oh, except when it comes to food. Oh, except when it comes to employment. Oh, hang on a second. You see, we make fools of ourselves by using mobile phones and then complaining there's no jobs for the kids. When we know the mobile phone is made in China. This is embarrassing to have these conversations. We buy Hoovers. We buy more efficient cars. Whatever we buy. Okay? We're making our lives easier, ideally. Usually we're making ourselves poorer, to be honest. But we always want to make our lives easier or more efficient. Well, eventually this efficiency drive will exclude us completely. So whether there is a Zionist plan to reduce the population of the planet to 500 million, it doesn't really matter, because we're all going along with it fine anyway. You know, the next generation of kids. I can speak. I've had 2 conversations with young ladies who I'm not bothering having kids. I don't need to have them. I don't actually want to have them. But we're doing it anyway. You know, if these things were against our will, then we wouldn't do them. But we're offered an easy alternative. We're offered a shortcut, a cheat. Oh, you don't worry. You don't have to reproduce yourself anymore. It's all right. Tell you what, when we've got enough people who don't want to reproduce themselves because we've lowered them to selfish, me type people, then we'll have to take over the reproduction process because you lot are too bloody lazy. I've said it before about pandas. They are what we're going to be unless we recognise we don't want to be that. Responsibility. You've not mentioned it yet, but I suspect it's coming.
It's taking full responsibility for everything that's happened to you. All your actions, all your choices. You've got to realise that if you feel you've been hard done by, you've allowed that person to do hard to you. It's accepting responsibility, being in charge of yourself.
It's looking in that mirror, isn't it, and saying, where I am today is a result of all the decisions I have made or allowed to be made for me.
That's right.
And no time machine in our lives could go backwards.
No.
We cannot go backwards and change that. But we can go forwards. And remember the pain. You see, our memories are brilliant. They actually eliminate the pain.
They do.
And make us just remember the happy bits. Well, it's the pain that taught us. But we don't learn.
No.
If we don't remember the pain.
And that's why I wished I'd kept a journal, because looking back these last 6 days, trying to figure out what I was going to say today, it was all the excitement, it was the good feelings that I remembered. I had to really dig deep.
It's clever, isn't it?
To remember the pain, the hurt.
Isn't it clever? We blot out the stuff that made us learn. We are pretty stupid about something. I mean, you do have to wonder about that, don't you? We have many faults, and we can only fix the small ones that we spot in ourselves. And taking criticism is something that that you have to accept now. We do get criticised a little bit, but if you sort of say it with a smile on your face, you can usually get away with most things, can't you?
But a lot of the people think they're insulting you.
I know, and you can have a little smile, can't you?
But you smile because you think, well, thank you, that was a compliment. Like being told you're insane. Thank you, I am insane.
So sometimes now, as the people talk and they talk in such a way, and they're talking about, invariably they're talking about somebody else, and invariably they're obviously they're speaking in a derogatory manner. Usually, we very rarely praise, do we?
No.
We very rarely praise.
No.
And it's usually someone you don't know, and they're talking about themselves most of the time, you know. We actually do confess, but we confess in the third person type role. So we confess in a way that, oh, do you know what, so one of my friends, right, and what happened was, and we're actually confessing, but we're asking for your opinion on that illusory person.
Yeah.
And once you see people doing that in conversation, you realise that it's actually all of it is to some extent confession.
Yeah.
Because we're all giving a running commentary on the race that's being run, that we're taking part in. And it's our never-ending running commentary. I went here, I went there, I spoke to so-and-so. And you're also forecasting the future. You're quite a forecaster. Well, I tell you what, I bet I'll be, and you're always, I bet I will, I bet I do that. You see, we hear the word better, right, but we don't hear the gambling that's involved with that.
Yeah.
We don't realise the take a chance, the community chest, what we're relying on. Are we taking a chance and funding it ourselves, or are we asking other people to fund our journey in this game of monopoly capitalism, where the money's run out now, but no one's figured yet? It all works in really well with our lives, and we trade this information.
Yeah.
Because everything is a trade, but it's not a bad thing.
No.
Because sharing is how we grow.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add?
The thing that has really changed in me, and it's important, is my emotions. I always considered I was an emotional person, but now the intensity of these emotions, I feel things and experience things that I didn't even know existed.
Do you remember? Was it November or December? Was it November or December 2 years ago, whatever it was?
Dear.
And I was talking about. I was talking to you about. I said you won't believe how your feelings change and how your thinking changes, and how so many things aren't the same ever again.
Yeah.
And the connections you get with the smallest little things, and the appreciation of life itself, and that one flower that makes it through the flower bed, and that weed that's cracked its way through the concrete. So you'll never not see that again. It's always there, showing you that no matter how hard, how against the odds it all is, if you want to actually get to the light and dance in the sunshine, don't let anything stop you.
Yeah.
And this journey, it puts up so many obstacles and puts up so many people to blame and gives you 101 reasons why you're going to fail.
Yeah.
I would say that this very system, if we're not careful, is the very domestication program that is designed to break us.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure, hasn't it? It's been fun.
It has. Thank you so much
I'm
for
sure
allowing me to do
we'll
this.
find time to speak again. But for a very unscheduled Unpenned Show, it's thanks for listening from me.
And thank you for listening from me.